Hi, welcome to Setbacks and Plateaus, a very common, ordinary, normal part of trying to change or stay fit and healthy. As you may know, I broke my arm 2 days ago. That's a slight setback, and I'm going to use that as a example, but there's many types of setbacks, whether it's uh, Christmas holidays or family holidays or vacation, a work deadline that means that you have less time, unexpected guests, illness. There's so many reasons that we might experience a minor or major setback. And plateaus, when it comes to health and fitness, are to be expected. We don't just progress in a straight line. There's always a few detours and challenges along the way. So I'm going to start by explaining what is a setback and what is a plateau, how to manage them, how to maybe break through a plateau, talk about a little bit about some unconventional thinking when it comes to breaking through a plateau. And then if you have any questions or comments, I will turn off the recording and we will get to those. So the benefit of coming live is that you get to ask your questions and get them answered to your satisfaction, I hope. So what is a setback? Often people think that success looks like start at point A, go to point B, and really what it looks like is a lot of mess in between. And we don't see that on social media or in magazine articles or on TV. We don't see how people struggle and how they maybe have to start again multiple times. I can't actually remember the actual number of times that people have to restart or retry. It's quite a lot. Like 17, something like that is sort of normal. So if you think, oh, I had a bad week, or I had a meal I wish I hadn't eaten, or I was coping with my new injury by having chocolate because I was. That's totally normal. Don't worry about it. It takes a lot to make something a new habit. What is a plateau? A plateau is when you reach a level where it feels like you're doing things fairly consistently. You've probably made a great deal of progress, but your progress levels off, or you feel like this is the new normal, even though you're not where you want to be yet. So both of these things are completely normal and to be expected. The hard part about a plateau is often people forget where they start because it feels like a new normal. It's easy to go back to your old habits and lose most of those benefits. So tracking, whether it's fitness or food or any other health behavior, makes a big difference, because then you can see, even though things feel like normal now, this wasn't normal before. So that is a very common occurrence. And then because we forget what we started at, we go back and then realize, hey, I actually got somewhere and I wish I had stayed there. So the difference between a setback and a plateau: a setback is a problem that makes progress more difficult, or maybe slows down your success. Like I said, it could be caused by holidays, vacation, illness, injury, or any number of interruptions in our normal schedule. And a plateau is a level of attainment where you slow down, you don't see the results as fast, and you're pretty much at ease with your new habits. When we have a setback, often we start with self-criticism. This isn't really very helpful. It's normal, but it doesn't help us. When we start to criticize ourselves, we're more likely to release the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol is a stress hormone that causes us to store more abdominal fat. Adrenaline's like the fight or flight hormone. And this increases stress in our body, which could be useful if you're fending off an attack or you have to get yourself out of a stressful situation. but the body shuts down. We have less resources to other parts of our body, including our ability to think creatively. We start to have tunnel vision, and we're very, very narrow focused. This can also increase our increased levels of depression or lack of motivation because we can only see what's wrong, and then we start to criticize ourselves even more. So you can see how this cycle can become a spiral of sort of downward progression, not the way we want to go. So setbacks, it's okay if this happens temporarily, but we don't want to be caught in a cycle where we're criticizing ourselves and then not getting to our goals. A better idea would be to be self-compassion, to be kind to yourself, like we talked about last week, to talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone else. So when you are compassionate with your mistakes or with any other setback, then we release oxytocin, and this is the love hormone. It helps us feel safe and secure, and it gives us an open mindset. We're less critical of our decisions. We have more motivation to carry on, and then we're nicer to ourselves in general. So more of a positive spiral that will get us somewhere as opposed to sinking us deeper into the direction that we are trying to avoid. Remember that setbacks happen to everybody. So everybody experiences pain and suffering and disappointments. Everyone makes mistakes, and every decision makes sense to us in the moment that we make it. So there's no value in punishing yourself. There's no value in feeling guilty or badly about something that happened. It's better to think, perhaps faced with that decision, I would make a different choice, or understand why we made that choice in the first place. But guilt and feeling bad don't help us move forward. So accept that you're human and that we make mistakes, and then decide, how would I deal with this if it happened again, or if I was in that situation that was similar to that. We want to understand that even whether it's fitness or whether it's what we eat, it's more about feeling good and celebrating what you can do. Fitness certainly is not a punishment for what you ate. I know a lot of people think that they don't lose weight because they can't exercise, and exercise is a very inefficient way to get fit or to lose weight. So you don't want to punish yourself for what you ate, and you don't want to punish yourself with food for what you have done in the past. So if we know that being compassionate is a very good way to overcome setbacks, how do we overcome plateaus? Building consistency is key. Even if you're not seeing a immediate change, or the changes have slowed down, consistency really is the key to making a difference. Take one small habit and work on that. Start with one meal, maybe just what you think your meal that you struggle with the most is. Try changing your routine. So maybe at 3 o'clock you go get a latte, and you think, well, I don't need those extra calories. That's just part of my routine. Maybe I'll get a tea instead. So don't try to change everything at once, but pick one thing and try to change that one thing. Remember that when you're tracking your choices, as you lose weight, you will need to reduce your intake to support your new weight. So maybe you're just holding your own, which is good, because we don't want to gain weight back. So not gaining weight is also a success if we're talking about weight loss or weight maintenance. But just think about, what are the things I can do regularly? If there's anything I can change in my habits, if there's a meal that I particularly struggle with, or maybe it's the weekend effect where I kind of lose track of what I'm eating, It could be your daily routine, or maybe you've stopped tracking your choices. Even for a few days makes a big difference. What about setback strategies? Well, it's always good to go back to the basics, like tracking your food, tracking your workout, looking at the big picture where we want to go, making your own meals. We know that even healthy meals that we get from meal delivery or from restaurants still have more calories than what we would make, and many more calories from oil and usually more salt. Don't be sedentary. This is a couple of reasons. One, it's easier to eat less if you're active. Exercise is a good appetite suppressant, and I don't mean like extreme exercise, I mean just being active. It also is setting good habits, so you're less likely to cope with food from a setback if you're feeling good because you're active. And then this is the unconventional thinking part. This is the alternate meal timing. This is intermittent fasting. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this when I turn off the recording. But there are some ways to be more mindful about what you're eating without changing your food choices, but changing um, how long you get to eat during the day. So one type of intermittent fasting is only to eat either during an 8-hour or a 10-hour window. Sometimes that gets rid of the snacking or the mindless eating. There's intermittent fasting where you eat normally on 5 days of the week, and then 2 days, say a Tuesday, Thursday, you only eat 500 or 600 calories. So there's some good research supporting that. So don't be afraid if you're healthy. People who aren't healthy or pregnant or diabetic shouldn't do alternate meal timing. But if you're healthy, there is nothing wrong with trying that. And I did post a number of ways that intermittent fasting works on our website, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But think about when you're feeling trapped or stuck. Start with one small change. What is one small thing that you could do that could make a difference, whether it's about how you feel about your setback or plateau? So how can I feel good about myself? Because you're absolutely fine the way you are right now. There's no judgment based on your size. You're a functioning, lovely human being the way you are currently. You may wish to change how you look or feel, but it's not going to change how you are. So accepting that you are perfectly fine right now sometimes makes the biggest difference. And then if you've reached a plateau, just being okay with carrying on as you are, and then maybe making a few small changes along the way to help you get over that plateau. So I'm going to turn off the recording, and I'm going to unmute everybody.